The weight of clouds, grace divided. The desert sun was a relentless furnace, but the heat of the people's discontent burned hotter still. Beneath the vast, shimmering horizon of the wilderness, the air was thick, with the dust of 1,000,000 footsteps and the heavy sound of murmuring voices. Moses sat at the entrance of his tent, his head bowed under a burden that felt heavier than the stone tablets of the law. He was a shepherd who had suddenly found himself leading a sea of souls, and his own strength was flickering like a candle in a gale. In the silence of his heart, he cried out to the heavens, confessing that the weight of this great nation was more than one man could bear. He sought not a release from his duty, but a partnership in the Spirit. The divine response was not a removal of the task, but a multiplication of the grace. Moses was commanded to gather 70 of the nation's most respected elders, men who had seen the wonders of the past and held the wisdom of the years. Among them was Ammiel, a man whose silver hair and deeply lined face told the story of a lifetime of endurance. Moses approached him and took his weathered hands, explaining that the spirit which rested upon him would now be shared. Ammiel looked into the eyes of his leader with a mixture of trembling awe and quiet resolve, leaning on his staff as he prepared to step toward the tabernacle. As the 70 gathered around the tabernacle, a magnificent swirling cloud descended from the heights, wrapping the sanctuary in a veil of glory. Suddenly, the same sacred fire that burned within Moses ignited within the hearts of the elders. Ammiel felt a surge of vitality that transcended his aging limbs, and his voice joined the others in a symphony of inspired prophecy. It was a holy transformation. The lonely burden of leadership was being woven into a tapestry of shared vision. The elders were no longer just observers of the miracle. They had become part of the flame that would guide the people through the wasteland. However, the Spirit blew where it willed, reaching even those who had remained within the camp. Eldad, one of the appointed elders who had stayed behind, was suddenly seized by the same divine fervor. He began to speak words of power and hope amidst the common tents, drawing a crowd of startled onlookers. Young Joshua, ever the vigilant protector of Moses' status, rushed toward Eldad with a furrowed brow. Fearing that this unofficial display would erode the order of the camp or the unique authority of his mentor, Joshua reached out to restrain Eldad, his youthful zeal clashing with the elderly man's unexpected spiritual outburst. Word of the campside prophecy reached Moses, and Joshua urged him to forbid it. But Moses only smiled, a look of profound peace smoothing the lines of his tired face. He placed a steadying hand on Joshua's shoulder, his voice calm and filled with a leader's true humility. "Are you jealous for my sake?" he asked softly. "I wish that all the people were prophets, and that the Spirit would rest on every one of them." In that moment, Joshua saw that true power was not something to be guarded, but something to be given away. With the burden shared among 71 hearts, the march through the desert began anew, led no longer by one weary man, but by a community of the light.